Happy Friday, beautiful. I'm so glad you're here with Yappy and I. So as the beautiful Miss Wendy Williams says, grab a snack and come on back. Happy Friday, my beautiful, beautiful friends. How are you today? I'm so happy to see you. It's Friday, March 21st, 2025. March is getting away from us. 10 more days. So yeah, this year seems to be going by so quickly and so fast. I can't believe it. You know, it's just going by so fast, so fast. But I hope you're well. I hope you had beautiful rest last night. I did not. I don't know what it is lately. It's like my stomach starts acting up in the middle of the night, or I have to keep going to the bathroom to pee, urinate in the middle of the night, or I start getting like stomach cramps and stuff, so then I gotta get up, and I don't know what is going on. And I don't eat after. Yesterday, I ate my meal, I don't know what time it was, between 4 and 5-ish, around that time, 5-something-ish maybe. And I didn't eat anything else for the rest of the night. I had 2 Doritos. My daughter had a bag of chips that she brought home from work last night. And I asked if I can have 1, and I had 2. That's it. And that was at about 8 maybe or so, 8-something, before 9 p.m. But I usually don't eat anything after I eat my initial meal. I do OMAD. So after I eat, and for my meal yesterday, which I should have filmed it and I did not, I had made some rice this week. So I ate the rest of the rice, just white rice, Puerto Rican rice, and medium grain rice. It might be short grain, but medium grain rice, I think. And I had scrambled eggs. I made 5 eggs, and I scrambled them. And I had some chicken sausage from Trader Joe's, which was so gross. I couldn't even eat it. I didn't like it. Everybody raves about their, the garlic one is better than the jalapeno. I like spicy. My favorite sausage is Aidells. And my favorite of the Aidells sausages is, I used to like the apple one, but I don't really care for that. I like the Cajun, and the Cajun one is not chicken. The Cajun one is pork. That is my favorite sausage. I love that sausage, and I love it with rice and cucumbers and stuff. I just love it. But I didn't have any more of that. So I said, okay, I'll try the ones from Trader Joe's. And I had them before, but I don't remember how I cooked them before. This time I made them in the air fryer, which I did not like them in the air fryer. And they were just dry, and they have no taste, you know, at all. And they're very tiny. They look like breakfast sausages. And I like a plump one, you know what I mean? That pops or splits when you make it. So today, I don't know what my meal will be today. I don't know if I'm going to have eggs again today, which I'm thinking I might have eggs again. I forgot to take them out, and so they get room temperature. So I have to do that when I'm finished. But I'll probably have eggs again. I won't have rice, of course, because I don't have any prepared. And I like to prepare it and then put it in the baggies in the freezer. And I ate my last one yesterday, so. But I think I will have the Teton 100% beef sausage. I get that from Costco. And it is basically like a Frankfurter, like a hot dog, all beef. But more sausagey tasting to me than a hot dog. Kind of like a Polish sausage maybe or so. And so I put those in the air fryer, and maybe I'll have those with the eggs. You know, I'll see and maybe I'll have a piece of toast. As I say that, I got to remember to take butter out the freezer. But yeah, so that may or may not be my meal today. I have no idea. You know, I have not been filming it. I've been really bad about filming my sugar fast. You know, I really need to get into that. I'm just tired still. And doing a video or trying to do a video ahead of time is more than I can handle. And because I don't sleep at night anymore. I don't know what that's about. I don't know what's going on with me in that. I take my magnesium every night, and that usually will help you to sleep, but it hasn't been helping me. And I take it every single night. And you should take at least 1,000 milligrams of, see, here I go with the yawning, 1,000 milligrams of the magnesium glycinate for sleep and for other things. It helps you rest. I don't take it during the day. I take it at night. Because if I probably took it during the day, I'd probably sleep during the day. It would probably have that effect on me. And maybe at night it's giving me an adverse effect. You know what I mean? And that's just me. My body, you know, I was telling my daughter I need to be donated to science, but I watched a documentary. God, I can't even remember what it was. And they were saying, like, somebody like me, a black woman, they would not probably even take my body, and that now I'm overweight. By that time I won't be, but that now I'm overweight, and they won't take my body either. They won't even thing it. Yeah, it's really thing. I need to find out the name of that documentary. You know, I started watching that when there were some things on about, you know, black women especially, and how we are treated in the medical field. And it is sad, and I know that. And I know that my mother didn't get the treatment she deserved as well. You know, and that's a big thing for me, because when you take that oath, the Hippocratic oath, to serve and to help make people well, then I feel like that should encompass all people, not be a pick or choose, you know, who you want to take care of and who you don't want to. Now, my mother, when she was 85, she might have been 86, I'm not sure, 85 or 86, she went for a checkup, and the doctor said, I hear a slight murmur. I want you to go to the cardiologist. So we did. We went to the cardiologist, and they made her wear this monitor for 30 days. And the monitor, she did fine the whole 30 days. She hated wearing that monitor, though. She hated it. But she didn't have any, at least what the doctor said, is nothing, didn't show that her heart, anything was wrong with her heart. Wait, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Excuse me. Excuse me, I'm not counting yawns in this video either. If you know, you know. So when I took her back to the cardiologist, and they said, oh, you know, Miss Milner, you're fine, and blah, 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 blah. Your heart is fine, and this and that, and they released her. But her heart was not fine, and when she died, she had full-on congestive heart failure. Her heart was beating at 15%, and I feel like because she was a black woman and she was 85 years old or 86 at the time when we went, they're like, well, she's getting ready to die anyway, so what the hell? You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate, but that is what I believe. To my dying day, that is what I will believe. And they didn't do enough for her. And when she was showing signs of that, that murmur just didn't come and disappear. You know what I mean? And especially at that age, more aggressive treatment should have been done to help her and her heart. And at that stage, she wasn't frail yet. She was very healthy. She could have had surgery. She might have needed a pacemaker or anything, and she would have probably withstood that surgery. You know what I mean? But we'll never know now, you know? When she was so swollen up here, and I took her, I says, Mommy, you know, do you want to go to the ER? I think we should take her. And she didn't fight me. I knew that something was wrong. But I never got the signs. You know, I see these commercials, and you all have probably seen them too. I'm sure they're on YouTube too, and on regular TV, with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And he's saying it how, you know, he was always out of breath and this and that, but he ignored the signs, blah, blah, blah. And he ended up with AFib, which is what my mother had apparently when our doctor said, you know, she heard something in her heart. That was probably the beginning stages of the AFib, which I feel like if they would have put my mother on a protocol then, you know, that she could have been here. My mother was not ready to go. And she promised me that she would be here till she was 100. And of course, she couldn't keep that promise, but not any fault of her own, because of her heart and nobody doing anything for her. And that was the guilt. I did release that during the magical moon, the first one with Elizabeth and Ange, Roots and Waves, and the mind and the more intuitive me. And go check their channels out, and they're listed down below in the description. So go to their channels, subscribe. You know, they do beautiful work, and they do beautiful readings, and they're just two beautiful souls who I love so much. So go and check them out down below. But in any case, you know, that is a guilt that I carried with me for 3.5 years. I carried that guilt with me for almost 3.5 years. And I had to release it, but my guilt was that, you know, I didn't know those signs, and I didn't know that that had to do with AFib or congestive heart failure. I didn't know. And if I would have known, she would have gone to immediately somewhere and gotten that taken care of, but I didn't know. And my mother was at the point where she didn't want to leave the house. You know, she didn't want to do anything, and I didn't force her. You know, I did not force her. You know what I mean? And but now, you know, my daughter knows if there's something wrong with me and you think or know, and I'm in that state where I can't make the decision for myself or articulate it for myself, then you better damn well get my ass to somebody's doctor, and you better fight. You better fight. You know what I mean? For me, I didn't fight for my mother because I believed the cardiologist. I believed that nothing was wrong with her, but something was wrong with her. You know what I mean? So that is something that I will always be with me. You know, I did release. I don't cry every day anymore, and I'm not, you know, have that guilty feeling anymore at all, because I did release that, and I cried, I bawled that night, and Ange did too. We were just bawling, and I cried, and I just had to release that. You know, I had to, and I feel so much lighter. That weight has been lifted from me, you know, and I know that my mother had a hand in that, and I'm sure she's so proud of me and knows that I released that. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't my fault, but I thought, you know, yes, you know what I mean? Let me see. I need to put the heater on. I am freezing. I am so cold, but it's not plugged in, and I can't reach the plug. Without being out of frame. So listen, you won't see me for a second, but I'm here. I'm just chilly. You know, it's going to be in the 60s. Let me see what my watch says it is right now. Let's see. Right now it is 52 degrees outside, which is generally somewhat warm. For me, it's not warm. Anything below 60 degrees is not warm. Last night, I went out to pick up my daughter from work. I had on, you saw what I had on in my video yesterday. Uh-oh! I gotta tell y'all something. I got to tell you something. We had, yesterday's video was our 200th video on this platform. Can you believe it? 200 videos. It was episode, I think my episode yesterday, let me see, was what? Episode 105 was yesterday, Spring Has Sprung. You know, or I think it said Spring Awakening. Spring Awakening. So, but yes, it was our 200th video, and I meant to note that yesterday in the video, and I forgot. So it was our 200th video, and I am so happy about that. You know what I mean? I will have so many videos on this platform. So many videos on this platform. You would think with 200 videos, you know, we would have embarked on this 1,000 subscriber thing. And not yet. And I'm on in the background. If you see me there, this was a live that I did. I don't even know when it was, 3 weeks ago? Because, yeah, 3 weeks ago was my last live. But my daughter's YouTube accounts are on my TV, so I can watch the videos that she's not watching on her channel, so I can get my watch time hours. So yes, So that's what I'm doing. Getting my watch time hours, watching my videos on my daughter's platform. So that's what I'm doing. So that's why I'm in the background there. If you can see through Yappy's little ears. But yeah. So, you know, I had to really release that. I don't even know what brought us in on that conversation, but yeah. So anyway, today I wanted to talk about the Book of Boundaries. It's one of my faves. You know, I love self-help books. And if you don't know, and you're new here, welcome. My name is Alexis. And I'm so glad that you're here. And if this is your first time, and for my day oneers, you know I love you. I love you so much. This young lady here is the most fabulous Yappy. She's a YouTube superstar. And my friends here also call me Lexi. And some other friends here, they call me Sexi Lexi. And that's sexy with an I, not a Y. And then some of my other friends here call me Luscious Lexi. So welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. We have 200 videos, so there's a lot of me to watch. A lot of me to watch. So, but you know, I'm just going to keep plugging along. You know, I have to. I made that commitment. If you're new here, consistency, those were my, consistent was my word for 2025, and authentic. There's nothing more authentic than this, you know, than us in our little bubble here. And Yappy and Yappy is with me on every video. You know, Spirit said you need a companion, and you have Yappy sitting over there in the corner collecting dust, not doing anything, so why don't you put Yappy in the videos? And I obliged. So Yappy is here. You know, Yappy is my cohort. And you will not see a video with me, of me without Yappy. Now the lives, I couldn't really get Yappy in the frame, but I do show her. I do pan to Yappy. But, and in the very first videos, you won't see Yappy because she was still in the corner. I had forgotten all about her until I cleaned out to make this studio. Well, not yet. Before I made this studio, my studio was on my bed, and you'll see some of those videos with all my books and my cards stacked up next to me, and Yappy was on the table next to me. And then I was a guest on the Divine Feminine show with Indigo Jaguar and Nancy Crone's Intuition, and I'm like, I cannot be filming from my bed. You know, this is a live, I need to be comfortable. And so I made my studio here at my corner studio. And then one of my beautiful soul sisters sent me this beautiful, beautiful tapestry of butterflies that represent my beautiful jewel. And it's trees and butterflies and the sunbeam coming down. And so there I go crying on the live. Let's see what's going on. You know, I love you all so much. I really do. Oh, Mama Sushi, so you know. You know, I can't. I'm bringing it down. I'm bringing it down. And get it together, Lexi. Sexy, there's no crying. And as Tom Hanks said in Alita Theron, there's no crying in baseball. There's no crying on the lines, Lexi. Get it together. Get it together, girl. You know, I'm always crying. If you're new here, you'll see. It may not be in this video, but you'll see. Go back and watch. This was a good live. Go back and watch it. I think this was, I said 3 weeks ago, this was an hour and 35 minutes, 1:35:37. So go watch that live. Go watch all my lives. Go watch all my stuff. Go watch it all and like everything, please. If you watch me, please like this video too. You know, please like. it's a simple thing. Just click that button. It's simple. You know what I mean? And I would definitely appreciate it. So now let's get into, there's a little buzzing. My phone is buzzing, but I'm not answering you that right now because we're filming. This is filming time, not phone time. And it's not an emergency. It's not my daughter, so it's not an emergency. So let's turn that around. So in the book of boundaries, I've got a little thing here. My bookmark. I forgot this. It's Wonder Woman 84. The year I turned 20 was 84. That was a good year. But this is chapter 3. It says the real work-life balance, setting boundaries in the workplace. And I thought that this would be good because I have a story to go along with this. I had a story to go along with the Let Them the other day. I definitely got a story to go along with this. So she starts off, Melissa Urban is the writer of this book. She's also the creator of the Whole 30 plan, the Whole 30 diet, if you're familiar with that. So she says, and we're on page 57 now. Page 59, if you have the book. So she says, my sister Kelly was on her first real vacation in over a year. She was standing on her paddleboard, gazing out over the peaceful turquoise waters off the shore of Barbados, when she heard someone yelling her name. She turned to see her sister-in-law, Kara, running down the beach, waving her arms and calling for her, Kelly, Kelly. So Kelly frantically started to paddle back. Was someone hurt? Was there bad news from home? She finally landed on the shore and gasped out, what's wrong? To which Kara replied, Matthew's on the phone for you. Matthew, as in Kelly's boss. Like, really? Really? He had weaseled the name of Kelly's hotel from a reluctant coworker, called her room, and persuaded Kara to track her down on her vacation in the ocean for something that was absolutely not an emergency. And I have a story about that. Well, my most recent job, before I was let go, my position was eliminated. I was an office manager and for a management company here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And my boss would do that. If I was off, she would be snooping around my desk and then she'd call for something that she didn't even need. I'm off. You pay me by the hour. Are you paying me when you're calling me for the time that I'm taking to talk to you on the phone? I think not. So I never used to answer. Like, don't freaking call me when I'm not there. And especially after hours. Like, I've worked my 8 hours and then some, because I was always there extra time. Don't do that to me. You know what I mean? I don't appreciate that. That could have waited till the next day. It wasn't that important. And this reminds me of, in the Virgin Islands, I was an administrator for the Caribbean Dance Company of the Virgin Islands. And I worked there for 4 years. From 1990 to 1994. And my boss, you know, loved her and everything, but she was a trip. And I remember one summer I was off because I would always take, the dance company was closed. They had a summer camp, but classes were closed in the summer until the fall when school started is when classes came. They did have a summer camp for some kids for a few weeks during the summer. And I always took August for my birthday. You know, if you're new here, I am a Leo. I am the Luscious Lexi Leo. and or Luscious Lexi, whatever you want to say. And my birthday is August 9th. And so I usually take vacation during that time, and I'm always off for my birthday. And so I had taken maybe a week or two off, and I told them I was going out of town because I didn't want anybody coming to my house. And I was not going around where anybody could see me. St. Croix is a very small place, but I was staying to my bubble at my house, and we were going like to the beach or something maybe, and that's it. You know what I mean? And I get this phone call on my actual birthday, and I think they called my mother to see if I was going to be home. And I'm like, why? It's my freaking birthday. Because they wanted to bring a cake and all that. And everybody's like, oh, well, that was sweet and that was nice. No, it was not. Because when I'm not at work, I don't want to see you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to know anything about you, and especially a boss. I don't want you ruining my damn vacation or my birthday. Now, if I'm working on my birthday, that's a whole nother story. Sure, you could take me out to lunch or something. But don't insert yourself in my life on my vacation on my birthday. I thought that was so rude. And then she brought her and I think 2 or 3 of my coworkers to my freaking house. Why? To bring a cake? I was flabbergasted by that. And my mother was, she knew. I did not appreciate that shit. Don't do that. I don't care. Some people have a relationship with their boss where they are best friends or whatever, and that's all good and more power to you. But no, I'm sorry, no. Absolutely not. We are not friends. We are acquaintances and co-workers at best. That's it. You know what I mean? I don't need you coming to my house. So this reminded me of that so much. When I saw this, I said, oh, this is definitely good for one of my videos. So she says, I gasp in disbelief too, had I not already heard so many equally appalling stories from countless people who have asked me to help them establish boundaries at work. Turns out Horrible Bosses isn't just a movie title. That part. Boundaries at work have been a trending topic since March of 2020, when COVID forced work, home, kids, school, and leisure to run together. Like that time I washed an entire hamper full of clothes with a stray red crayon. Can you imagine? Well, I've done it with gum and everything else for my daughter. Like, what? Or chapstick in her pockets and all kinds of stuff. Yes. Oh, yeah. Or other things that shred in the wash. Yeah. I have worked from home for the past 12 years, and I learned a decade ago that if I didn't set boundaries around what was work time and what was home time, thank you. I was home in my house, minding my business on my birthday. That was my home time. That was not work time, and not time for you to come under the guise of, oh, we wanted to wish you a happy birthday, Lexi. Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. I literally never leave the office. She said, her responding to emails from bed at 11 p.m. Right. Still, during COVID, when I was running Zoom calls from the cleanest corner of my bedroom, like this corner right here, while managing my kids' Zoom classes in the dining room, plus cooking, cleaning, doing laundry, and entertaining a bored 7-year-old, even my expert level boundary skills were put to the test. And yes, like she says, people will take as much as you will give them. It's not your job to guess my boundaries. It's up to me to set and hold them. And what do I say? The boundaries are for us. The boundaries are for us. The boundaries are not for them. It's for us, and we have to keep them. We have to keep the boundaries. So she says, whether you're working from home or going into an office, serving customers or managing a job site, have a boss or are your own boss, the biggest lesson I learned when I first entered the workforce is that people will take as much as you are willing to give. And they will keep taking and taking and taking. You know, this is one of the things that I tell my daughter. It's like the people at her job, I feel like they just run over her. They just run over her. You know what I mean? They just run over her. And it's like, listen, you need to speak up for yourself. It's not insubordinate to speak up for yourself. And you don't have to cuss anybody out, because I would. But you don't have to do that. You know, there's a way to be nice and be firm and say, because if you keep letting people treat you any kind of way, how is that? How are you supposed to make out? How is that? How does that make for a conducive work environment? It does not. It does not. Like, absolutely not. So, you know, she said, I first discovered this in the earliest days of Whole 30, when we were trying to grow the program, and I was the only one manning email and our Facebook page. If a question came in at 9 p.m., I felt like I had to answer it. If a workshop request came in on a Sunday morning, I'd stop my workout, brunch, or errands to reply. If someone sent in a question for the blog, I'd stay up until midnight writing the answer. I was running myself ragged, trying to be in 10 places at once, feeling reactive instead of proactive. Let me say that again. Feeling reactive instead of proactive. And fast approaching burnout. Yes. Until a friend and a fellow entrepreneur said to me, Melissa, people will take as much as you are willing to give. You have to set some limits. This brings us to one of her principal tenets and boundaries. It's like, it's not your job to guess my boundaries. It's up to me to set and hold them. You know what I mean? And she's like, this applies to every relationship category, but is often overlooked at work, especially if you work for someone else. You know, we tend to assume our boss's expectations, workplace culture, or job demands all supersede our personal need for and our right to healthy boundaries. But those assumptions are wrong. And yes, you accepted the job. And yes, they pay you for your work. But you have every right to demand a healthy, safe, respectful work environment. Period. And that almost always involves setting boundaries. It always involves that. You know what I mean? You have to set boundaries. You have to. You know, you just have to. And it's just, you know, it's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, she gives some things here, you know, like work time, you know, basically, yeah, she's got some phrases here when bosses have said things to her, you know, when she's tried to set a healthy boundary. You know what I mean? She's like, she says, the first thing I want you to be prepared for when setting boundaries in the workplace is the specific kind of pushback that you may receive. She says, here are some of the phrases that various bosses have said to me when I've tried to set a healthy work boundary. And I've heard all of these. Be a team player. But Elaine has kids and you don't, so you already said you don't have plans. Everyone is pitching in right now. Are you saying you won't do it? I thought you were a go-getter. How important is this job to you? That one. Don't tell me that. Don't. You're too sensitive. Oh, am I really? Don't bring your personal issues into work. Excuse me? I have not. Let me tell you. The last job that I worked at, even that one in the Virgin Islands, but the last job that I worked for 8 years, I never ever went in there with a personal anything. And the one comment that my boss always got about me was that Alexis is always pleasant. Alexis is always happy. We love speaking to her. We love calling here, blah, 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 blah. My coworker on the other hand was a bitch, a royal bitch. And she was nasty and rude and everything. And so my boss knew, you know what I mean? And she's like, oh yeah, you're thing. I said, yeah, but everybody has to walk on eggshells around the other ones. You don't ever say nothing to her, but I'm the one who has to. Some of the stuff that I did at this job was like unbelievable. Some of the stuff I did at this job, like when her daughter died, and I was the one that she would send to the mausoleum to put flowers in her daughter's crypt. Where do they do that at? Where do they do that at? You know what I mean? And not want to pay me for my transportation, for my gas, or any of that, because it's like basically she was paying me to work there, so that was not a part of my job description. Like at all. At all. It was not a part of my job description. And I let her know that every time she came out of pocket with some BS. I remember one time she said something to me and I says, well, damn something. And she, like her head spun around like Linda Blair because she was holier than thou. And I just looked at her and I'm like, okay. And I said, damn. Like, you know what I mean? The boundaries though, you know, I had to make the boundaries, because if I didn't, I would be like all of them. Okay. The one general manager she had a heart. He had come in there, have had a heart attack years ago. While he was on the job there, he had a heart attack. And he was in the hospital, and her son called him and said, well, when are you coming back to work? The man just had a freaking heart attack. Like, yeah, these people were nuts. These people were nuts. And these were black business owners. She was a black businesswoman, woman-owned business, okay, until she died, and then her son took over. And they were ruthless people, okay? It was all about the money, not about your co-workers or anything. And she was antiquated anyway. Like, the men always made more money than the women who worked for her. And I'm like, and you're a female. Like, I remember one time I asked her for a raise, and she said to me, I'm making market value. And I'm like, really? Market value for all the work that I do in this office? Stuff that I have no business doing, that's not even a part of my job description? And that's how she answered me. And that's exactly what I said to her. You know, like, are you kidding me? You know what I mean? But this is a right to work state, North Carolina, and so was Phoenix, Arizona, where I moved here from. And they don't give a damn about anybody, because if you don't do the work, guess what? They will hire somebody and pay them a whole lot less than they pay you to do the same job that you're doing. So basically, you know, they don't care. But setting a boundary, you know, you listen to all those little phrases, you know what I mean? Oh, well, I thought you were a team player. I am a team player. But when I'm not in this office, I'm playing for my own team, not for you. I'm not doing any work when I'm not here. I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? Or all the excess stuff. Oh, well, so-and-so has kids, and you don't. And that's what used to always be thrown in my face when I worked at the dance company. Oh, well, so-and-so has kids. You don't have kids, Lexi, so you could do, excuse me? When I worked at this last job that I had, that I haven't worked in 11 years. June will make 11 years. So when I had this job, and she used to say to me, well, you don't have anything else to do, or you don't. And I'm like, ma'am, I have a child, which she knew, who was in elementary school at the time, and then in middle school. But the whole time I worked there for 8 years, my daughter went from elementary school to middle school, to graduating middle school, to getting ready to go to high school. And at one time, she loved my daughter so much, and she wanted my daughter to come here and there, and she always wanted to invite her this, and this, until she didn't appreciate me for going back to school and different things like that. So when I would go into work, you know, like, I would go in on a weekend or something, and I would bring my daughter or whatever, and she would say, I don't want your daughter here anymore. Or I don't want, at one time she'd be like, oh, she looks just like you sitting at your desk. She's the cutest, she's the this, she's the that. But when she found out that I was trying to better myself, she wasn't nice anymore. You know what I mean? And that's how people are. That's when she's like cut me down to 3 days a week. And I'm like, I have a family to take care of. I have a senior citizen mother and a young child that I'm supporting. I was in that sandwich generation, you know? And basically she's like, well, sorry. You know what I mean? And she knew that I needed the money. She knew that. I fought her for the raise. She knew I needed the money, but she didn't want to give it to me anymore. And then she told me, because I had my hair, I had a mohawk at that time. And I'm going to pop a picture up, too, of the mohawk. I had a mohawk, and I had pink in my hair. The back of my hair had a flash of hot pink, like what I had before this hair color. But it was just in the back. So you couldn't see it when you saw me from the front. The front of my hair had little blonde tips in the front. And she's like, how dare you have pink hair? I'm like, okay, well, nobody sees it and it's my hair. What difference does it make? I came here to do my job. My hair doesn't do my job for you. And one of her little friends, who was a so-called doctor who looked like he came from the bottom of a trash can, would come in. He never carried himself like a doctor at all. Never carried himself like a doctor. And excuse me, got to put my other live on. Got to get my watch time hours. So he looked a mess, and he told her that, oh, she has piercings, and she has a nose ring, and she has a tongue ring, and she's this, that, and the other. So she came to, I didn't know that this is the person who said anything. I didn't know anything about it. Her sister told me about it, and her sister told her off about it. And she came to me and she says, well, you need to take these out. And I says, you hired me with this. And I've been working here. At that time, I was there for probably the 7 years, almost 7 years, or no, I was there for probably 6 at that time, because I wasn't ready yet to graduate from college. And I'm like, you hired me like this. And this has nothing to do with the excellent job that I do in this office. I said it just like that. And I'm not removing anything. She wanted me to take everything off. So then that's when she decided that she was going to cut me down to 3 days a week. She's like, oh, well, you know, your hair and all that would be suited, because she knew I was going for education and I wanted to be a college professor. And she's like, oh, well, that would be suited for you working with students and things like that. What? I'm like, huh? So yeah, but the boundaries, you've got to set them. You've got to set them, especially in the workplace. You know, especially. When I'm here from 9 to 5, 8 to 4, 7 to 7, 12 to 12, whatever hours you work, I'm here and I'm giving you my full participation at this job. I'm doing my job. But the minute that I clock out, sign out, whatever, even if you're on salary, and I leave and I walk out that door, I'm no longer in this building, guess what? Don't call me for a thing. You understand me? Unless you're some bigwig that, you know, you're on call. Maybe you're a doctor or something, you're on call and whatnot. That's something totally different. That's a totally different situation. But when you're not working in those fields, or you're not the big boss who's on call or whatever, then no, I'm not coming in and I'm not doing any work. Don't call me to ask me a question. You know, like they would always want to ask me stuff on my lunch break. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I stopped having my lunch in the office. We had a break room, and they would always come in there and ask me a whole bunch of shit while I was eating my lunch. So rude, but you couldn't talk to them, though. You know what I mean? And so I started taking my lunch out. I would bring my lunch with me every day anyway. And I started going, sitting in my car. I would drive down a ways where there were some beautiful trees and things. And I would sit down there, and I would have my lunch. And stay for my lunch break and come. And if I didn't feel like coming back in the half hour, because I'm like, you're not paying me when I'm not here anyway, I would take a little extra time if I needed to, if I had to run an errand or something. And one day I did that, and she was calling, and I'm like, why are you calling me? well, you weren't back. I'm like, okay, you don't pay me for my lunch hour. So I'm back. You want me to make up the time this afternoon? I'll make up the little 10 minutes that I was late. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Like they were just ridiculous. Ridiculous. And I'm so glad that, you know, I'm not glad that COVID happened by any means. Not at all. You know, that was a terrible time for so many people. But that the underserved or the people who really bust their asses and work, that people got to see, you know what I mean? Food services, the medical field, you know, delivery people, all of these people, you know what I mean, were busting their butts, busting their asses, you know what I mean? And we got to see how unequal things were during that time, how unequivocal things were, you know what I mean? But anyway, I thought I'd read that today because a lot of you all work, you know, and yeah, you have to set boundaries, not only with our family and our friends and our kids and whomever. You have to set boundaries at work. You have to. That is super important. You have to, because people will run over you and you keep letting them do it and they're going to keep doing it and then they don't take you seriously. You know what I mean? So that is important. You know, it's important to do. So I hope you liked this video today. You know, I had to get into that today. I had to get into it. And I thank you for giving me your time. I know this is a long one. So if you stayed to this long, we're at 46 minutes here. If you stayed here, drop the alarm clock down below. Drop the alarm clock. I'll put one up here. Drop that down below. And I'll know that you were here for the whole time. So anyway, Yappy and I want to say deuces. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Whenever you're watching it, it's Friday in my world. And I am going to have a good Friday. I am. So I love you. Deuces. I'll see you soon. And remember, I see you. I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm grateful for you. I thank you. I have so much gratitude for you, friend. I thank you so much for being here. So much. And love you plenty.